A lot of people advocate that protein shakes are nothing but a marketing gimmick. How true is this?
Protein shakes are nothing but another form of protein.
Can only heavy weight lifting build your muscle mass?
With one underlying principle of building muscle is the concept of progressive overloading. Paneer ke pakode will give you probably around 800 or 900 calories depending on how many you have actually. Yes, everybody should do resistance training based on their conditions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the ABHIIFIT Podcast. And this time, we're going to be talking about muscle mass. This is a very overrated, but yet very, largely unexplored term in strength training and especially in workout world. So we have Abhinav today talking about how does it work, what complements it, what doesn't complement it, are protein shakes important, not important, and so on. So without wasting more time, I would like you all to switch your attention to Abhinav. But before that, please subscribe to this channel because we're going to be coming out with content every week on health and fitness. So Abhinav, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Diksha, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Did you manage to get a chance to go visit the Coldplay concert?
No, I didn't go.
Why? You're
Not
not
a
a
huge
Coldplay
fan
person?
of concerts, first of all, and it's very chaotic on the concerts these days. So I just I was least bothered about it, to be honest.
I was least bothered too. I was one of those alien people who are actually watching Instagram reels and people were like, Diljit Dosanjh ka concert acha tha. Ye concert se.
I went as well to Diljit, you know.
See, we are the
Coldplay is
Diljit
probably not
people.
my thing, yeah.
Coldplay is not our thing. Chalo, Coldplay के बाद बात करते हैं. Let's talk about the topic of today's conversation. So we always talk about that, muscle mass is really important. Gaining muscle mass is there. And so is it really as important? And indeed, we have so many other forms of workout. Like we have yoga, we have Pilates, and then we have this. Why is muscle training important?
Well, it's true that we have a lot of other forms of fitness, yoga, Pilates, and dance, or other kind of cardio activities and all that stuff. Without undermining the importance of any of them, if there's one activity that I would rate at the top is strength training. This is what I advocate. This becomes a cornerstone of my methodology. All ABHIIFIT programs. You got to train with weights. You got to train with resistance. Get stronger. Improve your muscle mass. Because getting stronger and improving muscle mass has so many benefits that I can't even talk in probably one paragraph. It has so many benefits like improving your strength, your functional strength, like how you move in your daily life, improving the quality of life. Every day you're working with the resistance. Gravity also has a resistance. So basically we are working ourselves against gravity all the time while standing, while sitting, while lifting objects from the floor, while pushing things, pulling things like that. So, in everything, what is involved is our muscles and our strength, So the stronger we are, the better would be our quality of life in general. Are you getting me?
Correct.
Yeah. And apart from that, there are so many other health benefits. For example, improvement in metabolism. The more muscles you have, the faster is your metabolism in general. Improving metabolic health. A lot of people who have issues like diabetes and PCOS, they have poor blood sugar control. And one of the main warehouse of storing blood sugar is muscles. So the more muscles you have, the better is your insulin sensitivity. So basically your blood sugar regulation is better. Improvement posture. A lot of people who are not training or into the corporate life, something like that, they have a poor posture where, they become more of a hunchback posture. So the body, in order to acquire that position, which is basically required in their, daily life, that posture will weaken the muscle of the back. And there are a lot of other effects down the chain. So they may have shoulder issues, they may have back pain issues, they have weak glutes, something like that. So strength training becomes very important for them as well. Improvement in mobility, people who have frozen shoulders, or a lot of times people having lower back pain, they have certain muscles which are not functioning in full ranges of motion. So, if we start improving the mobility and strength of those muscles in longer ranges of motion, it improves the quality of movement and improvement in mobility. Apart from that, so many other benefits like improvement in brain health. There are neurons which are generated with these strength training activities, because there are synaptic connections. So there's a lot of electricity moving in brain when we're doing any kind of movements. So if you're doing those movements in the gym against the resistance, there is stronger electricity. So, it leads to formation of new neurons, the new brain cells, improvement in mental resilience, mental strength. While we are doing strength training movements, you're just getting more and more mentally stronger. It helps, and that carries on in the daily life as well.
Totally. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I want to know, are protein shakes actually healthy? A lot of people advocate that protein shakes are nothing but a marketing gimmick. How true is this?
Well, protein shakes are just in the form of protein. We can get proteins in the form of real foods. Like the protein sources are meats and eggs and fish and turkey and things like that. We can also get it from dairy. These are the primary sources of protein which have the full profile of amino acids. Now, protein shakes are nothing but another form of protein. Now, if you talk about whey protein, whey protein is actually derived from milk. In the process of cheese manufacturing, there's a leftover water which carries whey. So these whey manufacturing companies, they will filter that whey out of the remaining products which are not required, like lactose and cholesterol and all, and they will just add some flavors in, and whey protein powders are formed. Now, there are different whey protein powders like concentrate and isolates and hydroisolates, which are basically in terms of purity, they have different profiles. So in terms of building muscle, if I say, whey proteins are not that important. So stop wasting your time on whey protein powders if you are not having enough protein throughout the day anyways. So the whey protein will not do any magic just by itself. What matters is the total amount of protein that you're consuming in a day. So if we talk about a sedentary person requires 0.8 grams of protein per kg of body weight in a day.
Okay.
If we add any form of exercise, especially resistance training or strength training, so especially when you are training with weights, there are microscopic tears in the muscles that are formed as a result of weight training. So basically, the muscle breaks down. Now, in order to rebuild those muscles, we need additional protein. So from 0.8 for a sedentary person, it will go up to between 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kg of body weight. In certain cases, we may increase the dose of protein to even 3 or 4 grams per kilo of body weight. So protein in general is extremely important. So you can have it through food, you can have it through meat and dairy and whatever source of protein you may like. But whey protein, we whey protein or vegan protein, depending on your preferences, we recommend to people who are not able to complete their protein intake through food. Okay. Otherwise, through me, I can very easily have my quota of protein through real foods. But whey protein also makes it very handy for me to complete my protein shake. Like I can have it on the go. I can have it post workout. So and it's only giving me pure protein. It's not giving me any additional carbs and fats. So my calorie content can be lower, and I can easily complete my protein intake throughout the day.
Because a lot of people substitute their dinners with protein shakes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, even I was advised during my weight loss journey that in the evenings when I'm about to start workout, so I finish my workout, and then after that, instead of dinner, I just have my whey protein. And again, the reason was because I'm a vegetarian. I don't take meat. I don't take eggs at all. So that's what was given. So do you recommend replacing your dinner with protein shakes?
I don't mind for a person if they want to have that kind of option for me. A lot of times I also tell some of my clients, so replace one meal with protein, because in order to consume a meal, you especially for vegetarians, to complete their quota of protein in that particular meal, they will have a lot of unwanted calories in the form of fats and carbs, especially for vegetarians. It can
Sure.
happen with other people as well. So if you're having something like a whey protein, it's okay. However, real foods are still better because they will also give you a lot of micronutrients, and it'll also make keep you full for a long period of time.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. No, I mean, people have a lot of weird misconceptions, especially in vegetarianism, about, where do we get protein from? And some people are actually paneer ke pakode kha lo, and so on. I was like, bhai,
Paneer
हाँ,
ke pakode will give you a lot of additional fats.
फैट
Yeah,
तो
so
पनीर जितना खाओगे ना उससे तो ज़्यादा वो है पनीर की सब्जी खा ली कढ़ाई पनीर खा लिया एंड सो ऑन मैंने कहा भाई ये शाही पनीर उसमें इतना क्रीम डलती है इतना वो होता है तो वो प्रोटीन थोड़ी
see, paneer by itself is very high in calories.
Sure.
100 grams of paneer will give you around 17 grams of protein, but it'll also give you 25 grams of fat. Now you change it to a non-vegetarian, 100 gram of any meat will give you around 20 to 25 grams of protein with much less fats.
करेक्ट
The white sources will give you leaner source of protein, and the red source will give you higher fat content. So paneer by itself is very high on fat, and then if you're having in the form of shahi paneer or kadai paneer and all that stuff, it's just gonna bounce up your calories way too much. So
Correct.
probably just to have one a shahi paneer, you will end up having 700 to 800 calories, and for a
Yeah.
female who wants to drop fat, maybe their total calorie requirement for the day would be around 13, 1400, 1500 calories. So imagine if you're having 100 grams of shahi paneer, you're just filling in half your calories just through one meal.
One meal, that is true. That is
Yeah, so that's not great. Paneer ke pakoda will give you probably around 800 900 calories, depending on how many you have. Actually, I can
Yeah.
have 2000 calories with one meal of paneer ke pakoda, so I would not recommend that.
That is true. That is true. Well, let's talk about can only heavy weight lifting build your muscle mass? How about lighter weights or even like your body weight and so?
See, eventually, one thing with one underlying principle of building muscle is the concept of progressive overloading, which means we need to challenge the muscles more than what it can already handle. So, for example, let's say you're doing a bicep curl for bicep. So imagine you're able to easily do say 8 kilos of dumbbell for 10 reps. Now, if we keep doing that for 10 reps all the time, the muscles have no trigger, no stimulus to grow. It doesn't have any reason to grow and adapt. But if we try to push ourselves for 11th rep and then 12th rep, okay, in the following workouts, then the stimulus is created. Then the body believes, the muscles believe, hey, I need to get stronger because additional stress is coming. So this is called progressive overload. So what we need to see is, for beginners, the most important thing is improving form and technique. First we need to learn the exercises with correct form and technique. That cannot happen with the heavy weights anyways. So we need to introduce resistance training with lighter weights, doing more repetitions. Now that stimulus is also something very novel for the body. Okay, so the person will adapt as you start getting more into the fitness journey. Those weights will start getting lighter, and then you will need to increase the load. So say initially we start off your any movement, say squats with say 12 to 15 reps, you're doing easily with your body weight. But after that, we need to keep progressing. Now you can build muscle in heavy weights as well and lighter weights as well. The difference is that heavier weights will get you stronger and lighter weights will improve more endurance. So it depends what quality of your strength you want to improve. You want to build muscular endurance, you want to build strength, or you want to improve hypertrophy. In general, we say between 8 to 12 is a good range for muscle hypertrophy, which is a sweet spot between endurance and strength. But as you progress more and more into your journey, you need to be lifting heavier, and it's called periodization. So we start off with lighter weights, and then we go on to heavier weights.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But is muscle mass building more important than cardio?
Cardio is cardio. Cardio is for heart and the cardiovascular system. Building muscle is for your structure, your bones, you're improving your bone density, improving your strength. So there are totally different forms of fitness. Both are important. In fact, doing cardio will complement your muscle building activities as well, because if you're getting cardiovascularly stronger, you're going to recover better, because there would be better blood flow into the working muscles. You're going to recover better. You can end up doing more exercise volume in a particular session. So cardio is also important. A lot of people, we start off with building an aerobic base. If, for example, if a person has come who's cardiovascularly very poor, or who's got blood pressure issues, or who's got diabetes issue, then improvement in cardiovascular function becomes very important. So there, cardio activities will actually be on priority, and then we add a bit of resistance training. As you start getting cardiovascularly better, more fitter, then resistance training volume starts increasing, and then we can play around with the cardio volumes. Are you getting me? So both are important.
In their own space.
In their own space, yeah.
Interesting. Very nice. Because a lot of times, when we look at different kinds of workouts, cardio is either sometimes given a lot of preference, and sometimes muscle mass building, etc., is given a lot of preference. I've also heard, and I could be wrong, that in a general workout, maybe 20% of cardio and 80% of training is important. I was like, oh my goodness, that's not even half of each. What do you think is more important, or do you think you need 50-50 of both in any workout session?
There are 5 components of fitness that we train for: your cardiovascular endurance, muscular endurance, strength, flexibility, and body composition. Body composition is basically the ratio of your fat to muscle. Body composition will give you a better aesthetics, better physique, better structure. So to improve body composition, we need the inclusion of resistance training for sure. And then resistance training is the priority. But having said that, every other form of fitness is important. We need to be cardiovascularly stronger for better health, better longevity, and improvement in the metabolic health as well. And improvement in cardiovascular health will also complement your muscle building activities. How much of what to do will depend on your goal and where in your fitness journey you are. For example, if an absolute beginner comes into me, he won't even sustain a 1-hour session of resistance training. So for them, we need a combination of, say, a bit of resistance training, a bit of stretching, a bit of cardio in the end, and then gradually got to build it up. If somebody has come up with blood pressure issues, cardio will be my priority. I need to improve his cardiovascular function before intensifying the resistance training workouts.
So it kind of depends on every person. Every individual has a different program.
Yeah.
To work with. Yes. Correct. Well, coming to this itself, you must be getting clients, especially of, middle-aged and perhaps some seniors as well, who'll be coming with a lot of back pains, knee pains, and all of that. Mm-hmm. And in such a situation, do you think, do you recommend them to lift weights?
Yes, everybody should do resistance training based on their conditions. If somebody has come to me with back pain issues, not every exercise in the gym, number one, will give them back pains. So we will train every other movement that is not giving them back pain. Secondly, we need to find out the exact cause of back pain. So we are rehabilitation specialists as well. So we fix a lot of broken backs and knees and pain issues and all that stuff. So we need to identify through their assessments why the back pain is happening. A lot of back pain issues happen because of poor mobility in any of the joints, especially the hips, poor strength. So if a person is weak overall, a person has weak glutes or never trained in life, so there's muscle atrophy and strength decline is happening, that also gives back pain. Back pain is multifactorial, so we need to fix the back first by doing a lot of rehab exercises. It can be mobility, it can be strength, or some other exercises. And as you are fixing the back pain issues, there are other exercises that can be done to improve your strength and muscles, which need to be complemented. As a person starts getting better with back pains, there are a lot of other movements open up. So we can start doing those movements.
Sure.
Yeah. So normally, if somebody has come to me with the back pain, I would not be giving them heavy deadlifts or even deadlift as a movement. But
Right.
those exercises can be regressed to suit their needs so that they start building some thresholds, and gradually as the mobility and strength of their back
They get better.
improves, they start improving. Then we can start adding those progressions and ultimately move them to heavy deadlifts as well.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now let's talk about the protein supplements. Okay, we have a lot in the market. Today we have protein bars, we have protein cookies, and there are so many other forms of snacking items where you can consume your protein. Which one is better, or do you think that none of these are great? Let's just work on solid foods only.
Again, it depends on the kind of lifestyle a person is living, whether he has enough time to have decent meals. Sometimes protein bars are cool if you don't have time to eat anything. If you're on the go, okay, you can probably grab one or two protein bars depending on your caloric requirement, because these protein bars will give you protein, but they will also give you other calories from other substances like fats and carbs.
Sure.
Yeah, so they are a handy option, I would say. I would not say no to protein bars totally. They are a handy option, and if you don't have the room for having proper meals, then I would say okay, you can have your protein bars. I personally, because I'm always on the go, I snack on sometimes protein bars or sometimes whey protein shakes. So
Right.
we get ready-made whey protein shakes as well
Sure.
in the market. So for me, a cleaner source of protein is whey protein shakes, but I also sometimes can have protein bars. I don't mind. But if you're just having them as as a snack unnecessarily, then of course it'll add up to your calories. So I won't recommend them.
Indeed, indeed. Um, I want to also know about, what is the recommended age when you would say that people should stop weight training or stop muscle mass building. You must be meeting a lot of seniors, people above 60 and so on. And do you advise them to continue strength training? Or do you say that, okay, now you should perhaps not, give your bones more pressure, relax?
If there's one form of exercise that every senior citizen should be using, it's resistance training. It is better than cardio, better than yoga, better than everything else. The reason is because as we are aging, especially after 50s, there are two conditions called sarcopenia and dynapenia, which are basically age-related loss of muscle tissue and age-related decline of functional strength. If you are not training, if you're not using your muscles, you are on a rapid decline. So if there's one form of training which will stop them, is resistance training. So in resistance training, you're actually trying to build more muscle. So you are you're reversing the degenerative changes, and you are also getting stronger. So you are reversing the age-related decline in functional strength. So strength training for senior citizens is what we recommend the most. Now, strength training doesn't mean always lifting heavy weights. There is a person who is training with us. The lady is 85 years old. She has chronic back pain issues when she started. She did all kinds of intervention like physiotherapy and things like that, but the long-term relief was not there. As soon as we introduced some kind of resistance training, which was not even lifting weight, it was just for lighter bands in full ranges of motion, both for the hip joints and the shoulder joints, her back pain started reducing. She was able to move better. She was able to sleep better. Similar thing happened with a person who had frozen shoulder issues. He was undergoing a lot of physiotherapy, but what was missing was the strength in the muscles. So even if he improved his ranges of motion through physiotherapy, the muscles didn't have strength to stay there. So building muscle and training with the weights has to happen throughout your life. Because if you're not using your muscles under resistance, the muscles will go through a natural degenerative change, which is you're going to lose muscle. Okay, so to reverse that process, we need to keep strength training. There's a person who I was training who was 70 years old.
Wow.
And he had a diabetes as well. So for him, strength training was just sitting on a chair and getting up. Because for him, before he started, even that was a task. and that happened because there was a loss of strength in the muscle which were moving him to sit and stand. So just sitting on a chair and getting up was a squat for him. As he started getting better at that, we started giving him free squats, and then he started squatting with 20 kilos eventually. So there are so many cases of that, which eventually made his quality of life better. So strength training should be the cornerstone of any individual, be it a senior or middle age or whatever.
Interesting, interesting. Well, I don't know. I used to think, I mean, up until this podcast, I've always been thinking that, for up until a certain age, these things are good. After that, it's best not to strain yourself. Perhaps just walk and so on. That's all, that's enough. But thank you so much for busting this important myth.
See, even to walk, it becomes a challenge for senior citizens
Yes.
if they are weak enough. So now, the strength training will get you stronger so that there is less effort in moving around as well. And not only that, as I said before, it helps improve the brain function. It helps improve the posture. A lot of senior citizens have postural issues as well. A lot of people have metabolic issues like diabetes and all. That happens because they are losing more and more muscle. So the blood sugar has nowhere to go. So improvement of strength and muscle will give them the most benefits. You can add up your walks and yoga and all that. I'm not saying that. In fact, they are good. But at least a person should be training 2 to 3 times a week with resistance to get
Correct.
stronger.
Indeed. True that. Well, coming to this, you're recommending people should do, weight training at least 2 to 3 times in a week. Now, for someone who's really starting out, so what are some of the common mistakes people make when they're just about to start weight training?
The most common mistake is that they want to train every day. So they would think, okay, from no activity, they want to do strength training or resistance training 5 to 6 times a week, which eventually builds up a lot of stress, builds up a lot of recovery issues, and then they finally quit. The other mistake is not emphasizing on learning the movement. A beginner should always be training with a personal trainer who emphasizes doing the exercises correctly. They will probably come, watch YouTube and things like that, and they'll try to do the movements themselves, and they don't pay attention to the finer details. Eventually, they'll start loading the movement without learning proper form and technique, and they get injured. So these are the two common mistakes. They don't realize the importance of recovery. They don't realize the importance of building the right foundations.
Okay, so Abhinav, in conclusion, I want you to tell me about, maybe one common myth that people have in regards to muscle mass building that you come across, and people come and question you more often on this thing.
I cannot say about a myth, but one common expectation everybody has, okay, this that we can transform very quickly. They would see probably the stars on the screen, like Hrithik Roshan and all, and they would come and tell me, hey, I want a body like Hrithik Roshan. They don't realize that muscle building is a very slow process. It happens on a microscopic level. You first need to lay the foundations, start moving right, start to learn the form and technique, and then comes progressive overloading. Apart from that comes nutrition. So all that is a very slow process. Losing fat is easier than building muscle. It's a very slow process, and it requires patience and hard work and consistency. You can't be just training, say, 6 to 7 times in a month and expect to build muscle. It requires months after months and years after years of consistency and progression to be able to achieve a decent aesthetic body that you need.
But I'd like to contradict you a bit here because, I mean, I've heard this. I don't know how true is it, but it's like people like Salman Khan, Amir Khan, etc. They'll be drinking, they'll be having their own casual life, eating happily and so. And when they'd be approached for a movie, 2 or 3 weeks before that, or maybe 1 month maximum before that, they'll leave everything. Then they'll start to do their weight trainings 2 hours in a day and so on. Then that's how they build that body. Do you think it is possible?
See, all the people you mentioned, Salman and Amir and Hrithik, whatever, they have been training for years and years. So they already have a muscle base, they already have a strength base. So even if they get out of shape, it's very easy for them to come back to shape because they already have a foundation. So, but for a beginner, the foundation is not there. They don't even know how to do proper exercise with the right form and technique. So let go of intensities and volumes and building muscle fast. They don't have a muscle base, so they have to create a base first, and then we can talk about those transformations. Lay the foundations first, and give it time and give it consistency. You cannot leave it. It's not a start and stop activity, man. You just need to continue it, and consistency is very important.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I hope you guys have had fun. We had such an interesting conversation discussing about everything related to muscle mass training. Now, if you are in your 20s, you're in your 30s, or even if you're in your 60s or 70s, this is your time to actually start your journey of weight training, because as Abhinav said, this will help you live longer, live healthier, and help you move a lot more. Let's not all be couch potatoes. Get out of our beds, get out of our sofas. Wherever we're watching this podcast, it's time to actually just put it to rest and then go and start working out. So up until next time, when we discuss something else about fitness and training, I'd like you all to follow us on Instagram. It's the ABHIIFIT Podcast, and indeed subscribe to the YouTube channel for all the updates that keep coming through. Keep showing in some love, and Abhinav's details are here. Get in touch with him should you wish to book a personal consultation for yourself. Thank you so much, Abhinav. Thank
Thanks,
you for
Diksha.
this.
Thanks for having me.